Am I the a-hole for making a big deal about a 12-year-old's opinion? My youngest son made a new friend last year, and now that it's summer they've been having playdates. Her parents both work, so she usually comes over here. She's Hispanic and she sometimes says things in Spanish. Whenever she says anything in Spanish my husband will ask her what she said, even if she's in an entirely different room. Like yesterday, I was in the living room watching them play, and my husband was in the kitchen. She said something in Spanish, and he came out of the kitchen and asked her to repeat herself and explain the translation. I felt so embarrassed. She looked confused, and it was just so awkward. She wasn't talking to him. Why does it matter? I told him today that I would like him to stop, and he looked at me like I was crazy. He said we should know what the kids are saying in our house. I said it was embarrassing, and he asked me if I was seriously worried about what a 12-year-old thought of us. I came away from the conversation feeling really stupid. I know it's a harmless question, and I shouldn't make such a big deal about it, but I often feel embarrassed in awkward situations, and it always feels so awkward when he does this. Am I the asshole for asking him to stop just because I'm embarrassed even though he did nothing wrong? Am I the a-hole for kicking my brother-in-law's entire family out, which made them homeless, after they slowly destroyed my home? My husband's brother, 35 meters, his wife, 26F, and two boys, 4 and 3, moved in with me and my husband, both 30. Last month because they got evicted. I never wanted them here in the first place due to past issues, but after speaking with my husband, we decided for the sake of the young children to give them a place to stay. Before they moved in, we set some ground rules such as my bill must be actively job searching and that they must respect our space and clean up after themselves. Unfortunately, in the past month, they have began to slowly destroy my home and my space without giving two shits. First of all, my sil is an extremely picky eater so their family doesn't eat with us. Fine. But they never ever clean up after themselves, constantly leaving dirty dishes and pans, crumbs, food stains. When I tell them to clean after themselves, they begrudgingly do but it's never a job well done. Last week, one of the boys had peed on my very expensive couch which I only found out about after smelling piss when I was watching TV. Sil is stay-at-home but she's more like stay in her room, doing God knows what while her two children run rampant around my house. In the last 3 weeks, her boys have 1, colored on their bedroom walls 2, trashed my living room with their toys 3, knocked over half of my plant collection. Their whole family has turned my house into a fucking zoo while contributing nothing. I've not been able to comfortably live in my own space for the past few weeks. My husband could sense my frustration so he told me he'd have a talk with them and hire a maid to clean our house. Things got a little better until, yesterday, I get home early from work and their family's gone. Good, I think, peace and quiet for a few hours. I decide to go take a nap in our bedroom only to find that my precious vase that my mother handmade for me was shattered on the ground. I lost my mom when I was a teen and it is one of the last handmade items I have from her. I immediately knew it was the boys because there were toys inside my room and their tablet was on my bed. I was so angry. I ended up calling my husband, explaining the situation, and told him that they would not stay another day in our house, no questions asked. Then I went around the house picking up their dirty clothes, toys, papers, etc. and threw them outside onto our lawn. When they came back, there was a huge confrontation between me and them. I listed all the disrespectful things they'd done and that because they'd met none of the conditions outlined when they first moved in, I wanted them off my property by midnight. I called their kids untrained dogs. They screamed back calling me heartless, cruel, evil, saying I'd make them homeless. Well, they did end up leaving after I threatened to call the cops. Husband is fully on my side but I can tell he feels a little bad. Am I the a-hole for refusing to go to my sister's child-free wedding, despite not having kids? For some background, I am the youngest of 4 girls. My 2 older sisters, 32, 30, both have kids. My third sister, 27, doesn't and is getting married at the end of the month. I, 23, also don't have children but my partner and I hope to have some in the future. Oldest sister lives overseas with her husband and so is mostly irrelevant in this situation. Her and sister 3 don't speak. Anyway, sister 3 is having a child-free wedding. She is, like, aggressively child-free. We don't really get along. So, basically, our parents are old farts, love them, and can no longer drive. I can't drive, either, but my husband can, as can my older sister. She's a single mom, though, and had no one to watch her kids. My husband and soon-to-be Bill hate each other. They grew up together and Terry's just lots of hard feelings there, so my husband wasn't going to the wedding. I was going to have him drop me off. In the end, last weekend, after months of anxiety, I said I would stay with the kids so my parents and sister could go. She will drive them and attend in my place. Once we decided my husband gave the okay to work on the day of the wedding. My sister lost it at that. Then decided she would have someone else drive our parents and asked me to come. I told her no, my older sister wants to go, I'd rather her there. Anyway, As if one of our parents falls or something she knows what to do. Sister lost it and said I was being selfish. This is where I may be the a-hole. I then told her I didn't see the point in going to an event half the family would be missing from, referencing the kids. She said it shouldn't matter to me, because I don't have kids. I then said they were better company than her and point blank refused to attend her wedding. Even if the kids have a babysitter, which sister is now offering to pay for, I wouldn't go. She's so upset. I feel a little bad, but not much. My oldest sister says I'm in the right, second sister says she feels really bad. Our parents aren't really acknowledging the situation. I think they just want to see their daughter get married. Am I the a-hole? Am I the a-hole for ignoring my friend's phone calls and telling her to fuck off? I've, 37M, been friends with Lucy, 38F, for about 30 years. Lucy always calls me when she has a problem, as we've been friends for so long and I've always been there for her. This can be something as small as editing her resume or something as big as needing a loan to make rent. Unfortunately Lucy only has one mode, emergency. So whether it's a crisis or a simple problem, she always approaches it in emergency mode. The other day, I was in the middle of taking a timed assessment for work on my phone. I was about 5 minutes into it when Lucy called me. As I was in the middle of the assessment, I declined the call and put her into voicemail. As soon as I did this, she called back. I once again declined and put her into voicemail. She called back a third time and I did the same. Keeping in mind, every time she did this, it interrupted my assessment, the clock kept running, and the screen filled with her phone call taking away the question. She texted me, which popped up on the screen, 911 call me. I responded, busy, call you in 20. She replied, please, it's an emergency. I closed the text, and continued my assessment. She then started calling again. I put 5 calls in a row into voicemail. I was behind on my assessment so I tried to power through, but stress was getting to me. Lucy texted me again, need you now. I lost it and texted back, fuck off. In 30 years neither of us has ever said that to each other, but in that moment I just wanted her to leave me alone. She didn't respond but stopped calling me. When I finished my assessment, I called her back and she threw me into voicemail. I texted her and said was done and could talk. She replied, it's fine, I took care of it. I later learned that her car had broken down and she needed a ride to work so she wouldn't miss her shift. She wound up calling her father, she was late for work, and got a written warning. She's been very cold to me and I feel very badly that I hurt her. I've apologized for cursing at her and she just says, it's fine, without any further comment. I'm beginning to doubt if my reaction was justified and feel horrible for damaging our friendship. Am I the asshole for how I reacted and not helping my friend when she was in need? Am I the a-hole for always turning down hangouts with my friends when they ask to bring their kids? I have a friend group of 7 women from uni. I'm the only one that's child-free, but 1 is childless, 2 are pregnant with their first and 3 have kids. We as a group rarely meet up. I've seen all of them maybe twice in the last year, and we all live in the same city. Every time someone asks to meet up and we finally find a date everyone is available, one of the moms always asks if they can bring their child, or children. It's usually one of 2 moms, as the third actually wants to have a kid-free evening. And before anyone else can answer, the other mom says yes. All 3 moms have husbands who can watch their kids. Most of them also have both sets of grandparents who are involved. But somehow they never manage to find someone who can babysit, as they call it. So at this point I've stopped answering until they've set a time and place. Someone has asked about kids, and I say I can't make it. I hang out with them one-on-one, or in smaller groups instead. Well, a few days ago we agreed to finally meet up. No one had asked about kids and we were having a barbecue and wine night. Who shows up with her 8-year-old? Yep, one of the moms. I clearly didn't hide my annoyance and one of the girls asked me why. I just waved it off and 30 minutes later I excused myself and left. Said I didn't feel well. In those 30 minutes we hadn't had any adult talk, we were just entertaining the kid. I would rather go home than do this for another 3 to 4 hours. After I left, I think they realized this was a pattern and I got text from most of the girls in the group. Some calling me an a-hole, others just saying they were annoyed with me for leaving, while the third mom having my back, and asked to meet up later that week to have a proper wine night. I don't hate kids at all. I work with them every day and don't want to spend my time off, relaxing with friend, having to entertain other people's kids again. Am I the a-hole?